Agricultural Science class, and welcome to LearnCity. In today's class, in our last class, we started discussing about demand, where we talked about the factors that affect demand. In today's class, we're talking about demand elasticity. What is demand elasticity? Demand elasticity refers to how sensitive the demand for a good is to changes in other economic variables. It shows how sensitive the demand for a good is to changes in other economic variables. Demand elasticity is important because it helps firms model the potential changes in demand due to changes in the price of the goods. The effect of changes in the price of other goods and many other important market factors. The price elasticity is just how sensitive demand for a good is to other economic variables, and it's very important for firms to know this so that they will determine the demand due to changes in the price of the goods and the effect changes in price of other goods and other important market factors. A firm grasp of demand elasticity helps to guide the firm towards more optimal competitive behavior. Elasticity that is greater than 1 are called elastic, while elasticity that are less than 1 are inelastic, and elasticity that is equal to 1 are unit elastic. What is price elasticity of demand? Price elasticity of demand is a measure of the relationship between a change in the price demanded of a particular goods and a change in its price. Elasticity of demand is just the relationship between the change in the quantity demanded of a goods and the change in its price. Price elasticity of demand is a term in economics often used when discussing price sensitivity. The formula is price elasticity of demand is equal to the percentage change in the quantity demanded over the percentage change in the price. If a small change in price is accompanied by a large change in the quantity demanded, the product is said to be elastic. If a product is inelastic, a large change in price is accompanied to a small amount of change in the quantity demanded. For if it is elastic means a small change in price and a large change in the quantity. That's elastic. But inelastic is a large change in price and a small change in the quantity demanded. That is inelastic. We have perfectly elastic demand. When a small change in the price of a product causes a major change in its demand, it is said to be perfectly elastic demand. When a small change in the price of the product causes a major change in the demand, it is perfectly elastic demand. In perfectly elastic demand, a small rise in a price results in fall of the demand to 0, while a small fall in the price causes the increase in the price to infinity, which means a small rise in the price results to fall to demand to 0, while a small fall in the price causes an increase to the demand to infinity. The degree of elasticity of demand helps to defining the shape and the slope of a demand curve. Therefore, the elasticity of demand can be determined by the slope of the demand curve. The slope of the demand curve higher the elasticity of demand. The more the slope of the demand curve, that's how the higher the elasticity of demand. Though perfectly elastic demand is a theoretical concept and cannot be applied in the real situation, however, it can be applied in cases such as perfectly competitive markets and homogeneity products. In such cases, the demand for a product of an organization is assumed to be perfectly elastic. We also have perfectly inelastic demand. A perfectly inelastic demand is one when there is no change produced in the demand of a product with change in its price, which is perfectly elastic demand is zero. Demand remains constant for any value of price. Perfectly inelastic demand is a theoretical concept and can not be applied in a practical situation. However, in cases of some essential goods such as salt, the demand does not change with the change in price. For salt, if it is expensive, if it is not expensive, people would always want to use it because it's essential. Because it's an essential good. It's an important good. Therefore, the demand for essential goods is perfectly inelastic. We also have the relatively elastic demand. Relatively elastic demand refers to the demand when the proportionate change produced in demand is greater than the proportionate change in the price of a product. The numerical value of relatively elastic demand ranges from 1 to infinity. When there's a change in the produce in demand, is when it is greater than the change in the price of the product. That is when there is relatively elastic demand, and it ranges from 1 to infinity. Mathematically, relatively elastic demand is known as more than unit elastic demand. For example, if the price of a product increases from 20% and the demand of the product decreases by 25%, then the demand will be relatively elastic. Relatively inelastic demand. Relatively inelastic demand is one when the percentage change produced in demand is less than the percentage change in the price of a product. This one is when the percentage of the demand is less than the percentage change in the product. For example, if the price of a product increases by 30% and the demand for the product decreases by 10%, the demand would be called relatively inelastic because the price is more than the product. For the relatively elastic demand, the product is more than the price. The numerical value of relatively inelastic demand ranges between 0 to 1. Unitary elastic demand, when the proportionate change in demand produces the same change in the price of the product, the demand is referred to as unitary elastic demand. When the change in the demand of the produce is the same change in the price of the product, and the numerical value for this is equal to 1. Elastic demand is equal to 1. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. See you in our next class. In our next class, we're talking about supply. No, we'll talk about demand. Now let's start talking about supply. Stay tuned and bye.